introduce myself. I am Dr. Saoussen Alouani from the University Hospital of Monastir with a degree of Master of Science in Clinical Nutrition and a Master of Science in Data Science. I am honored to present to you today my work entitled Impact of Diet and Physical Activity on the Quality of Life of Colorectal Cancer Survivors, the DOT study. This is our plan. It contains 7 parts. We start by introduction, methods, then we come to results, a brief introduction, then finally limitations, perspectives, and a little conclusion. We start by introduction. The colorectal cancer has swept continents, becoming the most common cancer worldwide, the third most common cancer worldwide. Currently, surgery is the only curative therapy for localized colorectal cancer survivors. It is often associated with radio or chemotherapy. It is not a happy journey in any ways. This strategy could have a negative impact on the quality of life of this population. In fact, the World Health Organization defines the quality of life as a multidimensional concept that embraces psychological, physical, social, and spiritual contents. As for cancer survivorship is important, but the quality of life during the follow-up needs an additional investigations, including especially the effect of diet and physical activity in revamping the quality of life of cancer survivors. Based on these premises, the aim of our study is to evaluate the quality of life adherence to Mediterranean diet and physical activity performance of colorectal cancer survivors, then to identify factors that may influence the quality of life of colorectal cancer survivors. We pass to methods. This is a Tunisian cross-sectional study performed in the Department of Digestive and Visceral Surgery at Fatouma Bourguiba Monastir University Hospital. We included patients diagnosed with colorectal cancer between January 2014 and January 2021. Only patients that are alive and disease-free are enrolled. The data collection were performed during a consultation in the clinical outpoint, a home consultation, or phone calls. Study instruments were based on data collection and the pack of 3 questionnaires. All sociodemographic, economic, and therapeutic data were extracted from either colorectal cancer patients themselves or the Register of General Surgery Department. The pack of the 3 questionnaires we used is composed of the European Organization for Research and Treatment of Cancer Quality of Life Core 30 questionnaire, Mediterranean Diet Serving Score, and the International Physical Activity Questionnaire. All questionnaires were used in their Arabic validated version as it is the main natal language of the Tunisian population. Starting with the Quality of Life questionnaire, it counted 14 items. A high score for a functional scale or global health status represents a healthy high level of quality of life. However, a high score for a symptom scale represents a low level of quality of life. Going to the Mediterranean Diet Serving Score, we start by the Food Frequency Questionnaire in order to calculate the Mediterranean Diet Serving Score. The Mediterranean diet was chosen for its cheap ingredients close to the Tunisian patient's nutritional preferences. A subject is considered adherent to the Mediterranean diet if the Mediterranean Diet Serving Score is above 16. Finishing with the EPAC questionnaire, the International Physical Activity Questionnaire is the most widely used physical activity questionnaire. A short format is designed to assess the physical activity during the typical week, recorded in 4 intensity levels: vigorous intensity activity, moderate intensity activity, walking, and sitting. The data collected were carried in Excel for Windows, and statistical analysis were carried out using SPSS. Informed consent was required for enrollment in the study. The individual data collected during the study are subject to strict confidentiality. We go to results. Wait a second, I cannot see this. Among 2,213 patients followed for colorectal cancer in our department, 77 patients were dead and 70 patients were unavailable. Only 66 available patients were found, in which 9 patients refused to participate in the study. So only 57 patients were enrolled in the study with a participation rate of 26.7%. Starting by descriptive study, the sample consisted of 57 survivor patients, 42% female and 58 males. At the time of the study, ages ranged from 27 to 88 years with a mean age of 64. Tumor localization, 60% of the study population have colon cancer. The majority were at cancer stage 2 and 3. Almost half of the participants were diagnosed with colorectal cancer from 2019 to 2020. 98% went through open surgery. Around 31 patients went through chemotherapy sessions. 14 patients had post-operative complications. As for the assessment of the quality of life, overall global health status was high. 70% of patients had a global health score of 66.7 or above. Here. Nearly 70% had emotional and social functioning score less than 33.3. High financial issue scores were detected in 45% of our patients. For symptom scales, bowel movement and insomnia were the most disturbing symptoms. The Mediterranean diet serving score had lower scores in both extended from 6 to 21 with a mean score of 13. So more than only 40% of our patients were adherent to the Mediterranean diet. For the EPAC questionnaire, 15% of sample met the EPAC criteria for low physical performance. Deeper in factors associated with the quality of life scale scores, citing female patients, single patients, moderate socioeconomic group that got higher global health status score than the low socioeconomic group. As these are the positive associated factors, while post-operative complication, cancer recurrence, and carrying stoma affected negatively the quality of life. Adherent patients of the Mediterranean diet had lower scores in both physical and neural functioning. This difference was statistically significant. Global health status was found to be higher among patients with high physical activity. It is statistically significant. Wait a second. Using the linear regression model, certain predictors of quality of life were found. Male gender, having children, are certain predictors of physical and social functioning, respectively. Contrarily, post-operative complications and chemotherapy are predictors of a worse quality of life. Adherence to the Mediterranean diet was a significant predictor of role functioning, while performing physical activity is a predictor of physical functioning and global health. A brief discussion. This means quality of life, the overall quality of life was 78.7. This number goes along with German study. Still, it is way higher than the earlier Tunisian study that was published in March 2022. That sees an overall quality of life of 58.5. This can be explained by the tendency to adapt and return to baseline after the first year of diagnosis, especially among fully recovered patients. Our finding consisted that only 40% of colorectal cancer survivors adhered to the Mediterranean diet. The adherence to the Mediterranean diet was found so as a significant predictor factor of role functioning. The observed relation might also be explained by the reverse causation. Patients' quality of life may as well influence diet. The relationship between diet and quality of life is likely complex and bidirectional. According to our finding, the global quality of life was found remarkably more towering among patients with high levels of physical activity. Consequently, performing of physical activity is a significant predictor of physical functioning and global health. Even though having a walk for more than 10 minutes per day helped the majority of our patients to reach this high physical activity level, 82% of Tunisians admitted in 2020 not practicing any kind of sport, which is not conformed to the standardized guidelines for cancer survivors patients. Okay, a brief, we pass to limitations. Certainly, our study presented certain weaknesses. The major limitations are divided into two groups: limitation related to the study and limitation related to the cross-sectional nature of the study. For the limitations related to the study, we find a data collection and the use of questionnaires. The small sample size impaired us from reaching a more sophisticated research and adjusting the statistical analysis. Besides, there were a considerable number of non-responders and incomplete medical administrative database, which could have caused selection bias. Data in this study were self-reported by survivors, which might have led to under-reporting or over-reporting due to socially desirable answers. Even so, the absence of any visual analog scale is a bias itself. Questionnaires are still a global metric that allows us to compare our study with other studies and open gate to prospective studies. As for limitation related to the cross-sectional nature of the study, first, the temporal link between the outcome and the exposure cannot be determined due to the lack of real baseline. Second, it includes a response shift phenomenon and data limits from patient self-reports as well. Based on the recommendations of the World Cancer Research Fund and the American Institute for Cancer Research, a mobile multidisciplinary care team offers the best alternative, proposing a free, easy accessing, fast-getting counseling to colorectal cancer survivors. It must cover psychological, dietary, and physical activity drawbacks. For this reason, with the help of our friends of IT department, we have succeeded to create an initiative prototype for a website designed for both doctors and patients to pursue the DOT project. Patients can freely join this community. Doctors can participate as well voluntarily. Health members are welcome to visit the prevention sector as well. The more members to join, the more targeted and optimized guidance and advices we can provide. Conclusion: to the best of our knowledge, the present study is the first cross-sectional study investigating impacts of lifestyle pattern on the quality of life of colorectal cancer survivors. The DOT study refers to the dream of Tunisian to fit survivors in the hope that this dream may come true. Thank you.